Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new episode. I've been trying to count. I don't know how many episodes it's been, but this is the next one. So this is whatever it was last week plus one episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast. I hope everybody has had an amazing week, or at least a decent week. I'm coming to you on what really feels like it feels like spring. I feel like spring is springing. Even in the last couple days, the sun is shining. It was a little bit on the chilly side, which I don't love, which is a bit confusing because I think I've spent the past almost 3 years talking about how I love fall and winter. No, actually, I hate winter. I love fall. Fall's my favorite season, and fall isn't a particularly warm season, at least where I am, but traditionally. But the last few days it's really felt like spring, which I have felt good about for multiple reasons. One, because I do. But the second reason is because I've always said from the beginning of time, since I've been able to have my own thoughts, that the seasons should start on the 1st of the month, not the 21st of the month. Them starting on the 21st of the month makes no sense. It makes almost as little sense as Easter sometimes being in March and sometimes being in April. Like, how does that make sense? Now, I'm sure there's a very reasonable, logical explanation as to how that makes sense that I could probably look into and look up and then know and then not have to ask that question over and over again. But I just really don't care to. It's kind of like the one thing that I'm like, yeah, I'll get to that later. I'm always on a search for knowledge and a search for wealth, obviously. But why Easter moves around, I've always wondered it. I think I've probably Googled the first half of that sentence, why is Easter? And then I think I just got bored or busy or distracted. Should I do it? Let's do it. Okay. This is a big moment for me. Let's see. Why is Easter different days? Also, what would stop us from just, picking a day? Okay. Easter is the Sunday following the Paschal full moon date. The Paschal full moon date is the ecclesiastical full moon date on or after the ecclesiastical equinox on March 21st. The 14th day of the lunar month is ecclesiastically considered the day of the full moon. Okay, I'm going to need English. I'm going to need ChatGPT to get in here. Isn't it funny that, now I turn to the robots to talk to me like a human? I don't really use AI in any sense. Well, at least, I don't really use, ChatGPT or, that type of AI. I'm sure my entire life is AI. I exist because of AI, running in the background more so than up close. So I don't always feel it. But I don't ever, I don't often seek AI. But when I do, it is 98% of the time to have something, explained to me. And it's why can a robot explain stuff better than a human? That's a problem. That's an issue. But anyway, yeah, so I think I probably have Googled this whole Easter situation before and just haven't understood what it's telling me. So I'm not... The problem isn't solved, but I have an answer, which is always good. I'm going to be totally honest. Thank goodness this is not a visual medium because I look disheveled. I do. I wish I could say that's because, I have had a sick day or I've taken the day off and I've just been, in my sweatpants all day. No, I just walked in the door. I was out in public today in professional settings and I just looked off, and that's okay. You don't have to be a 10 every day. It's so, you know how much pressure it is? the pressure to look good. Some days I can't deal with it. Some days I look bad on purpose. It wasn't on purpose today. It was just naturally happening. But there are days where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep everyone guessing. And I'm not going to look like, the top echelon. That's a very fancy word. I could probably try 9 times and not be able to spell. Excuse me. Not be able to spell the word echelon. Let's see. Is it? It for sure starts with an E. Is it E-S or E-C? Echelon. Okay, I'm just going to try it. You guys, I spelled it right. It's E-C-H-E-L-O-N. And that looks wrong to me, which means that me trying to spell it wrong is the only way I was ever going to spell it right. And if that doesn't tell you what you need to know about me, I don't know what will. Like, you know how everyone always says, oh, you just got to trust your gut. Oh, everyone's like, oh, I have a great gut. First of all, I have a terrible gut, which is why I drink kombucha like it's water, which I have questions about kombucha. Like, and we'll get back to the gut, but like my first question is like, it's alcohol apparently? Like what? Like it's like fermented and isn't fermentation alcohol? So like, what's up with that? 2, how is it actually helping your gut? And then 3, what, like, when something quote unquote helps your gut, what does that mean? Is that like an Activia situation? Like you're more regular? Is that like your tummy doesn't hurt? The word tummy is always so funny. Like, wait, is Tums called that because tummy? I didn't know that. And I'm a huge fan of the Tums brand because I suffer from apparently a bad gut because heartburn. But, oh my gosh, I'm sure I subconsciously knew that, but I never, like, sat down, or lied down for that matter, and, like, fully ingested the idea that, like, it is called a Tums because tummy. That kind of changes everything. But regardless, I have a bad gut. Or do I have a good gut? What was I saying? I know I have a bad gut. And that's why I'm drinking the kombucha, which is confusing to me. So I would just like to clear all of that up. But all of that to say, everyone says, just trust your gut. Your gut will guide you. I feel like I don't have that. Like, I'm not an idiot. No, on the contrary to what it may sound. But, like, I've never felt so... my gut doesn't speak up, which is good and bad, because I'd imagine if you had a gut feeling, like, do you know what it is? I'm pretty much a middle child, so like I'm able to see both sides of stuff. I don't know if that is for me being a middle child, but like just as a human, I'm able to see both sides of stuff. So it's almost like I feel like my gut is telling me to do both options. So I can never be like, oh, I knew that I should have done that, because I did know that I should have done that, but I also thought I knew to do the thing that I did, which didn't turn out to be the right thing, and who knew if the other thing was going to be right anyway. Because I'd imagine that if you thought like, oh, I really should do this, but I'm going to do the opposite, that would be frustrating. But like if you never had a strong enough feeling to begin with, you can kind of just kind of float, So I guess that would be my advice. Not that anyone's asking, but like just kind of give up, Yikes. Anyway, so welcome to the Nobody Asked for This podcast. If you are listening to this, I do appreciate it, like truly. And if you're not, like no hard feelings, I'm sure. I sometimes wonder like how many minutes of the podcast like has no one on earth listened to, including myself. I don't listen to these. I honestly, like most people, stopped listening episode 2. I think I listened... No, I probably listened to, like, maybe the first 7 or 8. I would, like, actually sit down before uploading it and, like, listen. I don't do that anymore. I just don't need to know, you know? I was there once. I trust myself that, like, I didn't say anything wild. I don't think. And yeah. I just kind of go with it. You gotta let it flow, you know? Whatever happens, happens. Which was exactly my theory on my hair today. You know, was I could have brushed it. I could have. But, like, that wasn't what naturally happened. I naturally woke up 40 minutes after my alarm. And not, like, overslept, which is almost worse. Like, oversleeping is one thing. But, like, to consciously just be, like, pushing it back, like, that's a whole other ballgame that I can't say I regret. Because, listen, the sky didn't fall down, did it? But that's the other problem. The sky, it doesn't look like it's falling down anytime soon. So it's like, does nothing matter? I keep coming back to that. I keep coming back to nothing matters. And I'm a positive person. So I don't know what that's about. Like, life is fun, you know? Life is worth living. But, like, also nothing matters. Also, the irony of all of this is I am lying down, like, as if I was seeing a therapist. Is that a real thing? Not seeing a therapist. Although I should figure out if that's a real thing. But, like, when people would lie down and talk to your therapist, like, do you attend therapy horizontal? Let me see. Horizontal therapy. Okay, so apparently horizontal therapy is, like, its own thing. I mean, like, talk therapy in a horizontal position. I'm just going to Google, do people really lie down at the therapist's office or whatever? This is from theatlantic.com. Most therapists these days don't ask their clients to lie down. So they were being asked to lie down? Did Freud put them up to this? It's always Freud. That Freud, let me tell you, I don't necessarily buy a word he says. Like, he was coming up with all of this nonsense, which to me sounded like nonsense, but, like, maybe he was onto something? Like, I could never tell. I did study psychology, and by study I mean, like, that was my major, and half of my school was Zoomversity because of COVID, so, like, I didn't, like, I can't say, like, I learned, and which was all on me. Like, I'm not blaming COVID. I just didn't open the textbook because there was no one there, like, forcing me to, you know? I was, like, the thing about me is, if you, like, anyone who knew me would probably say, like, oh, no, he's a good student, and, like, my grades were decent, but, like, I was actually, like, the joke is I was actually a horrible student. Like, I always did my homework. I did what I needed to do. I put effort. It's not like I didn't care. But, like, there were times I so didn't care. And there was nothing worse than having, like, a nice professor who, like, you wanted to do well for, but, like, just sitting in those lecture halls being like, I do not care about a word that is coming out of your mouth. I took one history class. I don't know why. I was not a history major. I've never enjoyed history. I think history is important. But, like, it wasn't even, like, an interesting history class. It was, like, the history of, like, I think I did a project on the history of the sewing machine or something. So, like, it wasn't, you know, not that that's not important, because everyone needs to be clothed, but, like, it wasn't like I was learning anything that was, to me, fascinating. So I would just sit in those lectures, and this poor older gentleman was very kind, and was like very impassioned about telling us about like, I think it's called modernity or whatever was the topic. But I was like, I just don't care. Like, I'm so sorry, sir. I just don't care. And then also, when we went into COVID and we had to do like those breakout rooms, or no, not the breakout rooms. The breakout rooms are horrible. But when we were just like in class, like the professors would be like begging people, like, please, like, you know, I know everyone's not comfortable. I know you could be shy, but like, please have your camera on. Like, I feel like I'm talking to no one. Like, I had one professor like truly have not a breakdown. Like, she was like not a negative breakdown, but like it was a spirit. It was her soul was crushed. They broke her, and she was like, please, like, I feel like I'm talking to nobody. Like, I get it. Like, you're shy. Like, I probably wouldn't want my camera on either, but like, let's do this together. And she did a countdown of like, okay, we're all going to turn on our cameras. Okay, 3, 2, 1. I can't remember if this actually happened or if I'm making it up, but like it was something of the sort. I might be embellishing a little bit, but like, she really was like begging us to turn on our cameras. And you know what I did? I left the Zoom. No, I did turn on my camera. But the problem is, if your camera's on and you're one of 3 people whose cameras are on, when they need to, you know, call out somebody of like who read the textbook, or like, do you remember what thing this was? Like, when you're in a Zoom of 200 people and you're one of 3 faces on the screen, like, they're gonna go to you first. 1, because that's what you would do, and then 2, because they think that if your camera is on, you like actually knew what you were talking about. But really, I didn't know what I was talking about. I just felt bad. Which, you could take that snippet, and that really is like my life boiled down. I didn't know what I was talking about. I just felt bad. And that can be a double meaning, like bad as in like I have a stomach ache, but also bad in like, oh, I feel bad. I feel like bad for you. I'm really learning a lot about myself. I need to do more of these horizontal. I think Freud was onto something that I haven't confirmed was his idea. What were Freud's like years of operation? Freud. I don't know how to spell Freud without spelling fraud. No, not Fried. What's his name? Sigmund Freud? Is it spelled like cold in French? Oh, no. Freud. He was an Austrian neurologist. I didn't know that. Okay, he was born in 1856 and passed in 1939. Okay. So how old was he when he was 83? Okay, so he essentially like was born like a long time ago, but like died. Like, there are people alive there were people that are alive now that were alive when he died, but nobody alive when he was born is still alive now. That's kind of how I have to like contextualize stuff. I'm like, okay, are you like, did you exist in the timeline of anyone currently on Earth? And if the answer is yes, then it's not that long ago. If the answer is no, it was a long time ago. So, Sigmund Freud, not that long ago. But like, what do we like? He's been dead long enough now that like, can we really look back and be like, did this guy know what he was talking about? Like, was Freud smart? Like, do we look back on him fondly? Because when I was learning, in quotes, in university, I could never tell if like the thesis was, and this guy is nuts, or it was, and he's a genius. Because like, he was coming up with a lot of things. Like, it was like chapters and chapters of all the stuff that this one guy thought. And it's like, so you're telling me like a good chunk of this field was done by, like, was researched by one guy? Like, knowledge is not finite, unless it is, I don't know. But like, you're telling me this one man, like, did all of the work in the 1800s, and like now we're just good. We're right as rain. That's my new favorite saying. I'm right as rain. I don't know what it means. I don't know why it means. Well, like, I know what it means. I know it means like we're good, but like I don't know. Do you know what? I've Googled everything else this episode. I'm just gonna Google it. Right as rain. To be perfectly fit and well. Yeah, but why? It's not really coming up. My Google is a very interesting place. And it's a lot of like it's so, like, I would actually, honestly, I would, like, if someone was like, for, $5 million, like, could you release your Google search history to the world? Honestly, take it. I don't care. Sure. I'm literally Googling, like I would look stupid, but like not, like nothing that I wouldn't say out loud anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm Googling it, I've probably asked 19 people before I got to that point, just because I'm a bit lazy. Like, I'm someone who, if I'm in a group of people, I'll be like, does anybody know? And then I'll ask a question that, like, is easily Googleable. Like, you could Google it. And it's to the point where, like, people will just Google it for me. And I'm not trying to be lazy. Like, I think I'm just trying to make conversation. Like, I think I'm lonely, not lazy. Or I'll be like, 2 + 2 is 4, right? And it's like, well, you could have just checked a calculator. And also, how did you not know that? I wonder why I do that. Anyway, we are coming up on daylight savings. So do not fret. I will have the annual complaining about daylight savings episode. It sometimes is this episode, like, chronologically, but I think I'll do it after the fact. So I guess I complain more so during the November daylight savings thing, because that's daylight losings. I have like 3 episodes called Daylight Losings Time, and every time I think of it like it's a completely new thought, and I'm like, I'm a genius. Like, I'm so smart. But yeah, so we have that to look forward to. We will be losing an hour of sleep, but like, it is a Sunday, so just give yourself another hour. Like, it's actually, like, the actual sleep is like not a big deal. In fact, I think we should move it. Like, if it's not going to mess with the ecclesiastical equinox, Paschal, whatever, I think we should move it to like a Monday on the days where like you get an extra hour of sleep. I don't need an extra hour of sleep on like a random Sunday in November. I'll take it. Like, don't take that away from me. Unless that means that this whole time switching is going to stop, in which case I'm open to that conversation. But like, I used to make such a big deal. Oh my gosh, we are losing an hour of sleep, thinking that it was like in perpetuity we were losing an hour of sleep. No, it was one weekend in March that we were losing 1 hour of sleep. Like, sleep longer. Go to bed 1 hour earlier, which I guess you could technically be in bed and not asleep, but you know what I mean. Take a melatonin. Or something else, if that's what if that's your thing. Maybe put on an episode of, I guess nothing too stressful. What's like a calming show? I don't really want, put on a cooking show. But not Rachel Ray. Not because she's not great, but like, she's, like, you have to pay attention, you know? Like, it's like, Rachel's like, she's not just like cooking, like, she is teaching you with a goal. Like, she's trying to teach you something. And like, she's like kind of screaming, which is how I learned, so it works for me. But, like, what's, like, a calming... Like, does Martha Stewart have a cooking show? She has to, no? I feel like her cooking show would be, like, calm, and we're gonna make, like, cookies, and, like, everything's, like, white in the background. That's a show I would watch. And, like, I guess you could do, like, a Diners, Dives, and Dashes, but again, like, it's too goal-based. Like, he's trying to tell you where to eat. And I appreciate it. He's trying to tell you that this is the best Philly cheesesteak he's ever had. He's also... Has anyone really realized that, like... He's never been negative. Like, what's his name? Guy Fieri? He's never, like, bit into a club sandwich that someone gave him and said, ugh, this is gross. Like, I would love... Not that I want anyone's business or, like, life's work to be disparaged on TV, but I would like a bit of honesty. I wouldn't mind you know what, this was a little dry, like, here's how we can fix it. They have that one show, like, Worst Cooks in America, which is my second favorite show, only second to Worst Drivers in America. Has anyone seen that show? That is everyone's homework, and by everyone I mean potentially 0 to 3 people, because that's kind of what the numbers are looking like these days. I'm fine with it. But, yeah, 0 to 3 people. We're all gonna watch Worst Drivers Canada's Worst Drivers. I don't know, something Worst Drivers. It is the craziest show ever. I'm pretty sure, like, it has to be fake. It's almost like you can't be, like, if you're that bad of a driver, you're actually a good driver because you're trying to be that bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, only a really good driver can drive as bad as the bad drivers of Canada. I'm going to Google what that show was. And also, I can't remember, like, what the point was. Like, I don't know if you were trying to prove how bad of a driver you are and then you win for being bad, or if they were trying to fix you. Canada's Worst Drivers. Sometimes I think I'm a really good driver, and sometimes I think I'm, like, a couple clicks away from applying to be on Canada's Worst Drivers. Let's see. Okay, it ended in 2018, so not that long ago. I was alive. Okay, so I guess people were nominated by their, like, loved ones. They were called out for being bad drivers. I can't... okay. Britain's Worst Driver. I know what I'm watching tonight. And then they have, of course, because the UK loves to do this, Britain's Worst Celebrity Driver. They love to do, like, a civilian version of something and then throw in all the celebrities. They're like, we're going to do Big Brother and we're going to do Celebrity Big Brother. We're going to do Survivor and we're going to do Celebrity. Or, well, not Celebrity. What is it called? I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Which, if I had a dime for every time I said that, I'd be rich. I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. Anyway, TV in the UK, they are operating on a different channel, quite literally. I don't know what it is. Like, it's brilliant. If you ever need a good laugh, pretty much watch the British version of any reality show that we have in North America. It's hours of entertainment. Probably like thousands of hours of entertainment. And I think that's what I'm going to go do. So thank you so much for listening. If you have liked what you've heard, if you've enjoyed what you heard, even a little bit, like, you don't have to, like, loved it, but, like, even if you're like, okay, this isn't the worst. If that's you, then you can go to podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com.